Pokemon is a fun game. You catch these fun, cute little creatures and battle and trade them with friends and these nameless husks around the game's overworld. What's not to love? So what if we took this silly little baby game made for kids and made it painful? I've done a Nuzlocke before. Multiple, in fact, but I've never done one with a rule set that would, by most people's guidelines, be considered a hardcore Nuzlocke. On top of the standard fare that I used in previous Nuzlockes, this time around I'm not allowed to use items in battle, which kinda throws a wrench in the whole winning plan for me a lot of the time. The game I chose for this run was Pokémon X, since it's by far the easiest main series Pokémon game. At least that's what I remembered it as, but it turns out a lot of the new mechanics introduced in Generation 6 make this game a way bigger challenge than I was expecting. And hey, this whole video was streamed live to this channel, and at the time this video goes up, my current stream series is actually my next Nuzlocke, so subscribe! We start out in the town of, Vanillville. I gotta be honest, Kalos might have the most forgettable town names in the entire Pokemon series, so don't count on me remembering these or caring enough to put them in the video. Once we go down the easiest Route 1 in the series and arrive in Aquacorde Town, the whole friend group starts calling me Asshat and they give me my starter Pokemon, Big F the Froakie. Froakie is my personal favorite starter in this generation, and I vividly remember this game's launch being one of the hypest ever for me, because my friends and I were in a constant war between Team Fennekin, Team Chespin, and Team Froakie. Looking at the history of competitive, yeah, I won that. After obliterating Shauna's Fennekin and catching the guaranteed Pidgey encounter on Route 2, who we named El Stinko, it was time for Santalune Forest, which is literally just Viridian Forest, and this is where we all decided to let me bend the rules a little bit here. See, normally in a Nuzlocke, you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on any given route, however, Pikachu can appear here. Pikachu is tied with a few others for being my favorite Pokemon of all time, and as punishment, it took way too long to appear, but that's fine. We catch Winter the Pikachu and continue on to catch Shadow the Hedgehog the Riolu before challenging Viola, the first gym leader. There's something really interesting about the decision to give the first gym leader the bug type because— and that's done, moving on. After catching a male Combee named XD and heading to Professor Sycamore's lab, he gives me the second coming of Ranch the Bulbasaur. Ranch was a Pokemon who died in my first randomizer Nuzlocke last year, who the game then used against me by giving him to the trainer who killed him in a rematch. But this time, Ranch would surely live to see the end. Surely. After witnessing totally not the villain talking to the champion and heading out into the next route, I caught a Bunnelby named Big P, who died to a level 13 Kadabra, and went to Parfum Palace where I caught a Honedge named Caliburn. They tried to make a memorable moment with the fireworks show here with your friend/rival Shauna, but to be honest, this game has not only the most forgettable region, but the most forgettable rival characters as well. This may be a memory for Shauna, but I'm not going to remember her name after this. I then caught a Snorlax on Route 7 using the Poke Flute, which feels huge this early in the game. I also catch an Axew in a cave who gets named Goku and then boxed because he's a low-level dragon type who won't evolve past level cap for a long time. Then I caught a Spoink named Luigi, and god damn, watching this back, I am astounded that I managed to play this game for 7.5 whole hours on the first stream. There were about 6 hours between the first and second gym. What is this pacing? So after even more side stuff, including catching a Sandile named K-Rool and a Cubone named Cosmo, and catching a Snubbull named Craig, and trading a Love Disc encounter for a Steelix named Thumper, it was finally time to take on the second gym leader, Grant. Grant's team is actually tougher than I expected, being made of the first stage of both of Kalos' fossil Pokemon. Luckily, Shadow the Riolu was able to decimate Amora in a single hit using Force Palm thanks to the immense type advantage, but he wouldn't be so lucky against Tyrant. Shadow tried to use Counter, but unfortunately it didn't do enough and Force Palm would have been a better move. Tyrant gets a flinch with Stomp, and while it increased my speed, Force Palm just barely didn't kill and Shadow died to Tyrant. El Stinko came out to finish it with Quick Attack, but Grant has a Hyper Potion? And not a Super Potion? He's the second gym leader! I switched into Caliburn to minimize damage from Rock Tomb and flinched from being hit by Bite, then died to one more after getting some chip damage with Shadow Sneak. I sent out Ranch to set up using Poison Powder and Leech Seed, but unfortunately Ranch flinched from Bite before using Leech Seed, so to avoid losing Ranch I switched to Big F and finally finished Tyrant with Water Pulse. I played sloppy there, and that resulted in the deaths of 2 team members, but at least the 4 I was really attached to made it out alive, so Rest in peace, Shadow the Hedgehog and Caliburn, but at least we're free of Sonic references. For now. After traversing the next route and evolving Winter the Pikachu into Winter the Worst Pikachu, it was time to fight Korrina for the first time. This fight could be tough as she uses 2 Lucario that could have pretty decent variety in their movesets. Luckily it's not, and they don't. On the way to the next town I caught a Staravia named Cattle, but unfortunately, I just had to do an optional Sky Battle with El Stinko being the only Pokemon in my party that could participate. Not only did they lead with an Emolga, which paralyzed El Stinko, but their second Pokemon was a Staravia, which lowered its attack with Intimidate, and unfortunately all these issues added up and resulted in El Stinko dying to a little Wingle's Air Cutter. Now that's technically a game over since I blacked out, but we're not going to count it because Sky Battles are weird. Losing El Stinko sucks though. He was so close to evolving into Pidgeot, which is genuinely a favorite Pokemon of mine as far as Route 1 flying types go. And they were also with the team the longest out of anyone aside from Big F. In Reflection Cave I caught a Mr. Mime named Mimian and... oh, Cattle died. In the Mega Evolution Tower I beat Calum, who for some reason refuses to let most of his Pokemon know more than 3 moves, and then head off to Shallower City Gym to fight Korrina, but again. While fighting the trainers around the gym, Ranch finally evolved into Venusaur, and Luigi the Spoink evolved into Grumpig since I needed a sacrifice and it's about time the green bastard gets what he deserves. Korrina leads with Mienfoo, who Luigi soundly obliterates with Psybeam before confusing Machoke and also killing it with Psybeam. So far it's not looking like Luigi is going where he deserves, but luckily Korrina's Hawlucha had other plans. It used Home Claws before taking half health, snapped out of its confusion, and killed Luigi, and you better believe I popped off about this.
Yes!
What? No!
Yes!
No!
Yes! Yes!
Oh, come on.
Oh no, Luigi is dead!
I swap out to Raichu, use Thunderbolt, and win easily. So instead of heading off to the next gym, I have to do a funny little side quest where I get a free Mega Lucario. I don't know how Megas generally work in Nuzlocke, but I allowed myself to use this one because it's the only one I'm likely to get access to aside from Mega Venusaur. I named Lucario Sonic and moved on to Route 12, where I caught a Tentacle named Tentakill and a Lapras named Freg, which... I don't know why I accepted both, but whatever, we're not really hurting for encounters in this game either way, because can I just say, God damn, there are so many areas in this game to get Pokemon. In Black and White, by this point in the game, just after the 3rd gym, we'd be on Univa's Route 4. We are on Route 12! After catching a Slowpoke named that one Sylvia, named after my friends who were in the call with me, and grinding Caleb into dust one more time, it was finally time for the 4th gym leader, Ramos. Mega Lucario has Poison Jab. On to the next plot point. So my encounter in the desert area of Route 13 was technically Doug Trio, but everyone except for the loud voice in my ear that was that one guy official decided to let me reroll for a Gibble named FU_KU, using the fuck you clause. This is because I remember the crimes Diglett has committed against me. Don't worry though, FU_KU won't carry the run like you think. Probably. After doing some inconsequential fights against various Team Flare Grunts and their admin, who may I just say, looking at him in post, is the spitting image of Howie Mandel, it was time already for the 5th gym leader Clement of Lumio City. This gym puzzle was hard.
Quick time. Good question. That's the question? It's just the silhouette of Pikachu?
But somehow I made it through. Clement led with an Emolga, while I led with Thumper the Steelix. I decided to be a little funny here instead of Stealth Rock, because what the hell is an Emolga gonna do to Steelix? Aerial Ace? Yeah, okay. In a close call, Thumper takes out Emolga, and Clement sends out Heliolisk. I decide to have Thumper dig, but Heliolisk Grass Knot does a lot of damage before going underground. Luckily, Heliolisk dies in one hit, and Clement sends out his last Pokemon in the form of Magneton. Magneton failed to kill Thumper with Mirror Shot and didn't have Sturdy. And it was at this point that I was starting to realize, wow, this challenge is easy. Steelix got close to dying there, sure, but if Steelix died, even aside from Gabite, which you could argue I cheated by getting if you're boring, I still had a Marowak, a Krokorok, a Raichu, a Dig, and a Lucario with Bone Rush in the back. As long as I adjusted my team before every gym leader, there's no way I could lose. Once you start really getting into the thick of hardcore Nuzlocke, you just start to realize that there's not really much challenge to them. You can pretend there is, But once you start getting so many options, and especially if you're playing with rare candies, there is nothing that can stop you in any gym if you just build your team around winning, and I think that's really funny. After getting dripped out and catching Todd Showered the Quagsire on Route 14, it was time to hear a scary story about Slenderman. I gave him $1,000 because that's just awesome. The next gym leader was Valerie, and her design is fucking terrifying, but her Pokemon are not. She leads with Mawile and I lead with Tentakill. Tentakill sets up with Barrier while Mawile does the exact same thing, but then I decide to use Toxic Spikes twice to badly poison the remainder of her Pokemon as they come out. She used Crunch once, but 2 Surfs were enough to send her Mawile to an early grave. Her next Pokemon was Mr. Mime, but a single Poison Jab kills this man in a mascot costume before he can even try to escape. Her final Pokemon is Sylveon, but Poison Jab on top of being badly poisoned and only using Swift is a combination that Sylveon just can't deal with, leading to an easy 6 gym badge. After more boring plot stuff in the Pokeball Factory, I caught a few Pokemon, including a Jinx that I threw the Master Ball at in the Ice Cave, and a Delibird who I named Lily because of a Pokemon Sun and Moon reference that was made because of its tail. Then it was time to steamroll Calum again, but unfortunately he had other plans. See, I forgot about this fight, so I didn't go into it with as balanced a team as I probably should have. My team was set up to fight the next gym, so unfortunately, while Snorlax easily beat his first Pokemon, a single Brick Break from Chestnut was enough to send me to his death. Luckily, Adult the Trevenant was able to avenge me, and the rest of the battle was easy from there. After adding Goku to the party for the first time since catching him, it was finally time for gym number 7, and this gym was the easiest one so far. I led with Winter the Raichu, which half her team was weak to, and that was the correct choice. Sigilyph went down to a Nuzzle and a Thunderbolt, and Slowking got nuzzled and then walled by K-Rool the Crocodile. Her last Pokemon was Meowstic, and while it was a little annoying that K-Rool was asleep, he woke up and one-shot Meowstic with Crunch. She did pretty much nothing in this entire battle. But now it's time to take a break from collecting gym badges because Totally Not the Villain is talking about the imperfection of humanity or some shit, and now he's just gonna kill all humans with some huge weapon that's buried under Geosenge. And he literally just sent out an Amber Alert to let everyone in the world know his plan.
Why would he, like, send out a message to,
it's like
everyone? I am going to kill everyone! I'm going to nuke you all!
if you didn't do that, you would succeed.
After Fuck You the Garchomp becomes even fuckier, it's time to invade Lysander's secret lab in his cafe. He's just standing in the entranceway and decides to fight me for some reason. He uses a bunch of unevolved Pokemon, this is not a challenge. Lysander goes on some unhinged rant about how the only solution he's come up with to save the world is to just kill everyone, which, like, man, I know Game Freak was desperate to try and make a cool story after Pokemon Black and White, but they literally could not write a good story for shit after those games. Like, Black and White 2's lackluster story sort of gets a pass because it's a direct sequel and it's just cool to see Unova after 3 years, but this story is just horrendous, and it didn't have to be. People complain about Sword and Shield, but jeez, this is so much worse. Anyway, after seeing a very large man and hearing him trauma dump about how he built the ultimate weapon and how his Pokemon died and came back to life and then left him and all that, Team Flare scientist Zerosic decides he needs to test me for some reason. His Malamar nearly kills both Big F and Fuck You, necessitating a sacrifice, so I have Big F use Surf, and oh, never mind, I don't need a sacrifice. Okay, this game's easy. After pressing the button that's supposed to not fire the ultimate weapon, Zerosic starts the weapon anyway, so it's off to Geosenge to fight Lysander again. This time his Pokemon are fully evolved, so it's a bit more challenging, but so long as I play it smart, nothing bad should... And Ranch is dead. So I sent out Ranch and went for Petal Dance against Mienshao, and while that was a good choice with Ranch barely surviving acrobatics and killing Mienshao, I was now locked into Petal Dance and Lysander sent out Pyroar next. This one hurt. I was so excited for Ranch to finally make it to the end of a Nuzlocke after the unfortunate death in my last Nuzlocke, and to make it this far before dying, that sucks. The rest of the battle goes relatively well, but there's no time to mourn Ranch as I replace her with Germa 985 the Amoonguss and go down to the bottom of Team Flare's base to catch Xerneas. It tries to use Geomancy against a Germa with Clear Smog and gets caught in the second Dusk Ball. I add Xerneas to the party in place of K-Rool for this next battle only, and it's time to fight Lysander. Only this time he uses Mega Evolution. He leads with Mienshao while I lead with Lorax the Xerneas. One Moonblast is enough to kill Mienshao and he sends out Honchkrow next. One Moonblast is enough to kill Honchkrow and he sends out Pyroar next. One Moonblast is not enough to kill Pyroar, so I decide to go for Geomancy, which was not the correct move, so the Lorax lives on 1 HP from Fire Blast.
Oh my god. Lysander has just made the biggest mistake of his life.
The Lorax fires off a boosted Moonblast and doesn't kill, but it was still hype as hell in the moment. After the Lorax stops speaking for the trees, I bring out Big F, who kills Pyroar with Water Shuriken, and then it's time for Lysander's biggest threat, Gyarados. I switch out Big F knowing I can't do much, but switching into Winter the Raichu was not the correct choice. Mega Gyarados is not only not 4 times weak to Thunderbolt, but also kills in one hit with pretty much anything, resulting in the death of Winter the Raichu. That one was my fault, and it hurt. I sent out Sonic to Mega Evolve and get off a single Sword Stand since he's locked into Outrage, then go for Power Up Punch, which luckily kills Gyarados. But that was rough. After losing, Lysander throws his controller and kills himself? I think? It's either that or he gave himself eternal life before crushing himself with a ton of rocks, so yeah, that sucks, I guess. Anyway, continuing on, I added Pawniard the Pawniard to the team and evolved him into Bisharp, caught a Graveler named Arak, beat Professor Sycamore in Aquacorde Town, then caught a Drapion named YouTube Comments. After that, I made it to a big suspension bridge where it was time to fight all 3 of my non-Kalem rivals. That was easy. Anyways, after doing some side questing in the forest and Pokemon Village where I caught a Gothorita and failed to catch a Ditto, it was time for the 8th and final gym in Snowbell City. The gym leader literally admits before the battle that he's probably going to be a total pushover, so at least he knows it's coming. He leads Abomasnow and I lead Arak the Golem. However, I forgot that Arak doesn't have Sturdy, so I didn't get to set up Stealth Rock like I originally planned, but after Golem died, Sonic the Mega Lucario just spam closed combat and won. Kids, let this be a lesson to you. Sometimes the elaborate plan doesn't matter. Sometimes it pays to just mash the A button. One failed Altaria catch later, and it was finally time for Victory Road. My encounter here ended up being a Noibat, which is passable, it's fine, but also there was a possibility of catching a Hydreigon here instead, and I don't know if I can ever forgive Erika the Noibat for that. Unfortunately though, a little bit after that, and fuck you gets hit a little too hard by some random trainer's Heracross using close combat and dies. Losing Garchomp here was rough, especially since it's for all intents and purposes the best Pokemon in the game, and chat had somehow gotten attached despite the fact that I cheated to use it in the first place. And then the same Heracross kills Sonic the Lucario.
I am about to scream.
This was, for all intents and purposes, the lowest point of this run for me. This run had been pretty easy up until this point. Sure, 11 Pokemon died before now, including Ranch, who I'd been so excited to use, but at the same time, I didn't really have any issues as far as gym leaders or even Lysander went, all things considered. So to lose 2 of my best team members to this random trainer's Heracross that shouldn't have lived a Dragon Pulse after 2 special defense drops, that stung. It only got worse when, upon re-entering, a Black Belt's Machamp killed Craig the Grand Bull. At this point, I had to take a break because the game was genuinely starting to get to me mentally. Kalos Victory Road's trainers are apparently infamous in Nuzlocke, as not only are their Pokemon fully evolved with pretty damn competent movesets, including a Medicham with the elemental punches, but they also use Pokemon with 31 IVs according to this one Reddit post I found. After returning with the newly shiny that won Sylvia, it was at last time to battle Caleb at the halfway point. But first, he tried to pull a there were good people on both sides bit about Lysander and Team Flare.
But since our positions forced our hands, you can't really say any of us were right. So, no, we were pretty fucking right, actually. Yeah, Lysander was pretty wrong.
To nuke yeah.
He was suggesting genocide, Caleb.
Man, you know what? Sure, he may have wanted to kill every single person in the world, but it was because he was sad, so it's fine. After mopping the floor with Caleb, I stormed through the remainder of Victory Road and at last made it to the final stop on this treacherous journey, the Pokemon League. At this point, I assembled what would be my final team. Germa985 the Amoonguss, YouTube Comments the Drapion, K-Rule the Crocodile, Erika the Noivern, Big F the Greninja, and the hero this run needs, Goku the Haxorus. Now, I could tell you I got off to a good start against the Elite Four, however, that would be a lie. Our first opponent was Cybold, who uses water-type Pokemon. He led with Clawitzer, while I led with Germa 985. I used Spore to put it to sleep, and then spammed Giga Drain until it died. I also put a Starmie to sleep, then switched into Big F and spammed U-turn between him and Erica to take out Starmie. His next Pokemon, though, was Gyarados. And my team didn't have an answer for this because for some reason I didn't give my Drapion Thunderfang, instead opting for Firefang. I will let the footage speak for itself here.
Well, it's asleep now. I can use Clear Smog. I could get super greedy and Super Fang again.
I think it's probably best not to do that.
Yeah. But I could.
Yeah.
Big F can Ice Beam.
Alright.
Oh, it's using Dragon Dance.
Dragon Dance again! Well, now it's +2 attacking speed. Not good.
Okay. Die, please. Oh, God. Oh, it's getting greedy.
Oh! Are we still gonna be fast enough?
Hopefully.
Fuck! Full restore? Well,
This is very bad.
is interesting.
I think it just sweeps here. Amoonguss switch?
Yeah.
No, because it will just go for Ice Fang. It's faster than Amoonguss, 100% now. YouTube comments isn't a safe switch either because it has Earthquake. I don't have a safe switch here. No matter what, it one-shots everything on my team right now. Except for Big F. Who he can still one-shot with Earthquake.
Unless it gets, like, greedy.
It will not. Yeah.
And keep going.
Big F is dead.
Well.
What?
Whoa! You should have U-turned.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. It's gonna go for a random move now. I think I just wipe here.
No. But what are all of its moves? If it picks a random one, we could, like...
I have an idea. I have an idea. One sec. Yeah, this is it. That's the run.
I mean, unless we get lucky.
We aren't gonna.
Big F.
I think Germa is genuinely the best choice, but... Okay, we have to hope for Ice Fang. What?
Dragon Dance! You! What are you doing? Greedy! It got greedy! It got kill! Okay, don't even bother with the just like kill.
No, I have to clear Smog, because Giga Drain doesn't even kill here.
I mean, what if it's the same for someone else? It's only at half. Okay. It got greedy!
It got so fucking greedy! I guess he didn't see kill, but
Throwing.
how?
Throwing.
He's literally throwing right now. He woke up in one turn, which is a little bullshit, but...
Full restore. Motherfucker. Yeah.
I can't believe Big F is dead. I didn't even have time to, like, be sad about it, because I was in a fucking panic. But...
Yeah.
Big F's sacrifice was unfortunate, but at least we got through after sending in YouTube comments to spare Germa and finish Gyarados off. After switching back and forth to lower Barbaricle's attack with Crocodile, it easily goes down with Earthquake. The next member of the Elite Four was Melva, who K-Rool mercilessly swept because her team is pathetic aside from Chandelure, and she was also part of a criminal organization bent on genocide, which, you know, is pretty weird considering she's still allowed to be in her position. Wickstrom also ends up being pretty easy with no casualties, but then it was time to fight Drasna. Dragon-type Elite Four members tend to be the most threatening in any game, and this one is unfortunately no exception. Her lead is Dragalge, which K-Rool manages to one-shot with Earthquake. She then decides to send in Altaria, which dies to Outrage. K-Rool has carried this run so far. Her next Pokemon is Druddigan, who barely survives a hit from Outrage once, but not twice. K-Rool does live on 1 HP after Rough Skin, though. Her final Pokemon is Noivern, and since I know it's going for a random move, I decide now would be the best time to send in my own Noivern to hopefully outspeed it and use Super Fang. Erica lives 1 Dragon Pulse on switch-in, but is unfortunately too slow to land Super Fang like I wanted, and dies. I switch into the YouTube comments to try and do as much damage as I can with Cross Poison and Night Slash, but unfortunately they're just not able to keep up and dies after getting Noivern down to half health. I send in Germa to survive a single Air Slash, use Spore, switch into Goku, and take it out with Dragon Claw. With that, We were going into the champion fight with a skeleton team. Half the team died on the way through this gauntlet, and now in the final moments of the run, it was time for Goku to do what he was always destined to do, and save the run.
Okay, Winter.
Okay, Goku. It's time to go Kaioken.
Here we go. You can do it, Goku.
Oh, it's faster. Right off the bat.
Oh dear.
Okay, that's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
that wasn't
That's fine.
that bad.
Okay. We survive at least 2 of those. We are already
Okay,
faster.
Now we're faster.
Oh, wait, the berry!
Oh, berry! Berry! Berry clutch.
Oh, that didn't actually do that much.
That was barely anything.
The citrus berry would have been better! It's risky, but I think another Dragon Dance is best.
Yeah, I mean, we need that for the Aurora, right?
Yeah, it's... Oh! You
Oh.
idiot!
Give.
Okay.
What? Ooh, deleted.
Yeah. Okay, what if
Well.
Aurora's had 0 IVs in every stat? So I'm not sure if it does, but I'd like to assume that they did not give the champion IVs. Dragon Claw does more damage, but we still don't kill.
Well,
We have to
This
bank on
isn't
Blizzard
bad.
missing. Or her going for Light Screen or Reflect. Or knockout anyway.
We could just kill.
The calculator,
We could just kill.
calculator is literally just wrong.
Hit the win button. Use the spirit bomb, Goku.
You're
Yeah.
So true. I am hitting the slay button right now.
Hit the slay button.
That's what I'm doing. No mercy.
Goku sweep. Goku sweep.
5 kills on the board right now, about to wipe out Tomato Town with Population Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Nice. Goku sweep, baby.
That was the most battle of all time.
I'm dying.
And with that, I won my first hardcore Nuzlocke. Wait. Never mind, I need to fight AZ real quick. Anyways, with that, I won my first hardcore Nuzlocke. There were a lot of deaths along the way, but in the end, I think this run can be summarized into this. Wow, this was easy. I think now it's worth saying that this was the end of the Winter VA training arc. Because now, it's time for the hardest challenge run of all. A long time ago, before even my randomizer Nuzlocke, I did a super casual Nuzlocke of Pokemon Colosseum. I used items, I probably cheated, the whole shebang. And to this day, I've wanted to redo that Colosseum Nuzlocke in a way that I can be proud of. It's time for the hardest Nuzlocke I've tried yet.